Hello, Canada. Welcome to Breaking News from the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias Tagai. This is unbelievable. Let's just kind of get right down to it. So there is an RCMP and police officer who came forward. They wrote an open letter to our appointed Prime Minister, Mark Carney, pretty much asking him to remove 9 sitting MPs for literally, well, you know what? I'm just going to read this all to you, and I will post the link to the PDF so all of you can go over it. There's a lot of detail in here. Again, this is stuff that we've been exposing. I've done a lot of previous episodes. I urge you to tune in. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get right, let's get right to this. So read it off. Open letter to Prime Minister Mark Carney. This is dated April 12th, 2025. Mr. Carney, as you stand for your first election in the House of Commons as a Member of Parliament, you are also seeking a mandate from Canadians to become their Prime Minister and to lead this nation. You are presenting your financial background as the requisite and relevant experience to lead a nation without having demonstrated to Canadians your ability to tackle difficult political issues in any real capacity other than in proposed and unfulfilled election promises. Perhaps it was your lack of political and government experience that saw you mishandle the extremely serious matter with your current Member of Parliament, Paul Chang. Liberal MP Chang not only acted without integrity as a Member of Parliament and former police officer, but openly called for the abduction and handover of a Canadian citizen with political opponent to a foreign country that the Liberal government has criticized for human rights violations, which if you watch my previous episodes, you can see Mark Carney is invested huge. So is the Liberal Party. The China infiltration at the extreme levels. This unparalleled action in Canadian history was your first public test as a leader to demonstrate your respect for the rule of law and to act swiftly with integrity. You hesitated and did not publicly demonstrate the recognition of the seriousness of the offense. The Liberal Party has long espoused that they and Canada respect the rule of law. The time for you to prove this with meaningful action is now. We, the undersigned citizens, are presenting you with an opportunity to demonstrate to all Canadians that you are worthy of their support, that you are a leader of integrity, that you respect the rule of law, and that you will always act in the best interest of Canadians ahead of partisan politics. The Liberal cabinet ministers named herein, past and present, some now working in your Prime Minister's office, have directly and by intent permitted serious breaches of Canadian law. They have failed to act on serious allegations related to national security, conducted themselves in their cabinet roles with apparent malfeasance, and as a result, have ultimately placed several Canadian citizens at grave risk. After 2 years of inaction by these cabinet ministers that you have now assumed leadership of, several innocent Canadians have been placed at risk of direct retaliation by Chinese foreign intelligence and security agencies. Had any of your ministers acted in the 2 years prior to October of 2024, when their intervention was requested by the undersigned, they would have stopped innocent Canadians from being identified for their activities and knowledge of Canadian covert intelligence operations in China. These innocent individuals now and forever have a target on their backs unnecessarily in a war of espionage between Canada and China. We are asking you to show leadership and immediately remove the below-listed individuals from your party and or this election. We, of course, are offering you documents, communication records, and evidence to support these claims. The named ministers, past and present, of concern are as follow. Here we go. For all you union people out there, remember, I've been previous episodes. This party is so bad. My God, the evil. Number 1, Marco Mendicino failed as Minister of Public Safety to act in protecting Canadians abroad from potential arrest and detention. Failed to respond on direction from Prime Minister Trudeau's office to address impropriety at CSIS and the RCMP, permitted breaches of law, breaches of process, and breaches of policy by both CSIS and the RCMP. Dominic LeBlanc failed as Minister of Public Safety to address breaches against Canadians with improper use of electronic spyware by CSIS and the RCMP. Failed to address the breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights, permitted breaches against labor unions by improper government use of spyware, failed to hold to account CSIS and RCMP to their restrictions and operations in sensitive sectors of national security, and failed to respond to these concerns after direction from the Prime Minister of Canada. Further, did not hold CSIS to account for withholding critical national security information from an active RCMP national security investigation. These are huge. All the proof's been out there. Sam Cooper has been exposing this, and like I have as well. There are a lot of great people, and Andy Lee and a whole bunch of others. Thank God to X, I've been slowly finding these people, and they've been finding me. This stuff has to get out there. There's been nothing on mainstream. Let's see how long it takes them to openly talk about this letter. Number 3, Bill Blair failed as Minister of Public Safety by authorizing extreme powers for CSIS to undertake inappropriate actions against innocent Canadians, permitted breaches of the Ministerial Directive on National Security Operations in sensitive sectors, permitted breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights. David McGuinty failed as chair of NSICOP and recently Minister of Public Safety to address improper actions of CSIS for withholding critical national security information from an RCMP investigation, failed to protect the Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to address risks to Canadian citizens abroad. Anita Anand failed as the president of the Treasury Board to intercede and address improper use of spyware by the RCMP against a labor union executive during a period of collective bargaining and unfair labor practice filing, did further fail to uphold the Canadian Charter of Rights and permitted the Treasury Board of Canada to engage in bad faith collective bargaining, knowing that serious breaches of law had occurred. Steve McKinnon failed as Minister of Labour to uphold the Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to investigate breaches by the RCMP in labor-designated sensitive sectors during sanctioned labor activities and collective bargaining. Melanie Joly failed as Minister of Foreign Affairs to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release of protected Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada without redaction. Arif Firani failed as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release of protection Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Services of Canada without redaction. Chrystia Freeland failed as Deputy Prime Minister to address reported breaches of labor rights, misuse of spyware technology by CSIS and RCMP, and breaches of Charter of Rights. Wow, finally, this is all starting to come out. Mr. Carney, if you have an opportunity to prove unequivocally to all Canadians that you will place Canadians' ministerial responsibilities and the rule of law above partisan political activity, if indeed you are presenting Canadians a choice of something new, then take action now rather than making an election campaign promises to look into it later. Demonstrate that you are not the same old government of the past 9 years that has failed to protect Canada. It is never wrong to do the right thing and to earn the trust and confidence of Canadians. If you wish to be a nation builder for the future, then you must not surround yourself and empower the failed engineers of the past. Submitted respectively, Sergeant Peter Merrifield and Detective Paul McNamara. Lots of supporting material here, people. The information contained within was released publicly and without redaction or vetting by the Quebec RCMP National Security Unit and public prosecutors in October of 2024. This questionable Chinese interference file was manufactured by CSIS, who mishandled critical national security intelligence during the Meng Wanzhou 2 Michaels crisis. CSIS betrayed one of its own Canadian covert foreign contract intelligence agents operating in China and tried to terminate a serving Mountie based on false engineered allegations to cover up their own lack of real-time intelligence on the international crisis between China and Canada. CSIS then provided this false intelligence to the U.S. Department of State, leading to the termination of a security-cleared Canadian former police officer employed as Director of Security for the U.S. State Department facilities in Canada. Furthermore, CSIS provided this erroneous intelligence to the Prime Minister's office, the Minister of Public Safety, and the Privy Council Office of Canada. When the scenario was forwarded to the RCMP to begin a foreign interference national security investigation, CSIS withheld critical national security information from the RCMP and sent them on a wild goose chase to cover up their own intelligence failures. Believing they had been given a critical espionage file from CSIS, the RCMP mishandled the investigation in a catastrophic format and attempted to link innocent individuals through their participation in federal elections and political nominations with the Conservative Party of Canada to Chinese foreign influence. This was completely unrelated to the matter under investigation, yet the RCMP felt compelled to create unrelated connections to the Conservative Party of Canada. RCMP Integrated National Security Enforcement Team submitted this information to the courts in pursuit of authorization for further warrants in their investigations. They have a pile of different excerpts that are put in here. You guys, this is absolutely crazy. In direct violation of Section 38 National Security Act restrictions on the disclosure of material harmful to the security of Canada and Quebec, RCMP INSET and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada willfully released without cause unvetted and unredacted material likely to cause harm in contravention to Section 38. This public release of national security information vexatiously identifies Canadian citizens acting at the direction of Canada, engaged in covert intelligence operations in China, or having possession of documents identifying those operations. The named individuals are now at risk of cyber attack and physical personal safety retaliation by foreign intelligence and security agencies. Several compromised Canadians sought the assistance of the Liberal cabinet ministers prior to the unprecedented disclosure of protected national security material by the PPSC and RCMP, but were ignored and refused assistance. Wow. Confidential appendix. Everything is in here. This is absolutely, like I said, I'm going to post this. You have full access to it. I need you guys to read this over. Wow, you guys, like this is absolutely crazy. Letter, Dear Mr. Merrifield, I would like to acknowledge receipt of your email December 26, 2024, sent to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I regret the lengthy delay in replying. Please be assured that your comments have been carefully reviewed. I note that you have also addressed your email to the Honorable Dominic LeBlanc, Minister of Public Safety, Democratic Institutions, and the Intergovernmental Affairs. While the Prime Minister appreciates the time you have taken to write, he will leave the matter you raised to be considered to the Prime Minister. This just shows everything that whole committee that was put forward was a puppet show, an absolute puppet show, people. You have been played. This is something most of us have known, have been trying to piece together and trying to get out to the public. Make sure you like, share, and if you love what I do, subscribe, people. And if you got the money, please try and support us. We need every bit. My email is attached in my descriptions, in my actual page, and not just me, but all of these other great independent journalists that have been trying to expose how corrupt this Liberal Party and most of our government agencies are. We can't fix Canada unless we start exposing them. This is just wild. Now, do you remember the foreign interference inquiry? I've exposed this on previous episodes. Please feel free, go through. I've got a lot of great breaking news that I pushed through. But do you remember this?
I received what I characterize here as explosive, certainly extremely alarming information around foreign interference into a particular political party.
There we go.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau would not name names or identify which country was interfering, but he did name the party.
I have the names of a number of parliamentarians, former parliamentarians and or candidates in the Conservative Party of Canada who are engaged or at high risk of, or for whom there is clear intelligence around foreign interference.
Do you know which minister is responsible?
That revelation is a first, though Trudeau, on cross-examination by a Conservative Party lawyer, said that politicians from all parties were implicated in foreign interference. But that revelation was just a prelude to slamming Pierre Poilievre for refusing the top-secret security briefing in which Poilievre might learn the names of the...
Now, do you see why Poilievre never took the bait? The whole NCCOP is a bait and trap for what these liberals have been doing. The craziest part is Elizabeth May. Yes, Elizabeth May looked these over and never even thought to flag what was going on. Why? Why? Because she's just as evil. She refuses to stand up for Canadians. All they care about is power. The NDP, what did they do? They looked at the NCCOP. Nothing. Same thing. What about the Bloc? Same thing. This is absolutely huge, people. Let's see if mainstream actually covers this. This should literally end the election right now. This is done. These 9 ministers need to be fired now. This is unbelievable. And like I said, I have a list of 26. 26. 11 of which we know of for sure. And now we have these 9 who aren't even really involved in the foreign interference, but who were protecting and hiding and using information nefariously in order to advance and hide the people within their party who are bought and paid for by China. And who else knows? And the kicker is listen to how the media twists everything. Just listen. It is absolutely ridiculous. These people are just crazy. How evil can a government get?
Those Conservative parliamentarians.
It is so egregious to me that the leader of the official opposition, who is certainly trying very hard to become prime minister, is choosing to play partisan games with foreign interference.
But Conservatives say it is Trudeau who is playing partisan games. Poilievre issued a statement while Trudeau was still on the stand saying that Poilievre did in fact receive a classified briefing Monday from CSIS and from Trudeau's National Security and Intelligence Advisor, or NSIA. Now that Monday briefing was about foreign interference by India, but neither CSIS nor the NSIA said anything to Poilievre about Conservative politicians. Poilievre also said that his chief of staff, Ian Todd, has the requisite top secret security clearance, and that even though Todd has had several briefings with the NSIA, Todd has never been told either about any Conservatives implicated in foreign interference. Donna.
And David, questions around Justin Trudeau's leadership from within his own party are still swirling. And now the first MP who is seeking re-election has gone public. Tell us about that.
Right, that's Sean Casey, first elected as the Liberal MP for Charlottetown back in 2011, before Trudeau was leader. And here's his statement. He said this to us. He said, "I am increasingly hearing from constituents that I represent that it is time for Trudeau to go and that I agree with them." Now, that in turn has sparked some reaction.
I have a lot of respect for my colleague Sean Casey, but I disagree with his assessment.
So, some new cracks opening up in the Liberal Party that'll definitely bear watching. Donna.
Okay, David.
Now, who can forget all of the crap.
There are foreign countries trying to interfere in our elections.
The public inquiry into
foreign interference
has just released its final report.
Our national security agencies have confirmed this.
We have active investigations into foreign interference occurring in Canada.
But for some reason, Pierre Poilievre refuses to listen to them. Let me back up for a bit. Here's something you may not know about elections in Canada. The leader of a party gets the final say on who runs for that party. Why am I telling you this? For quite some time, our national security agencies have been very concerned about foreign powers interfering in our elections.
If there's a trail of money or information, who's...
Now, this guy got caught lying with Trudeau. I busted this previous episodes. This is all. This is media doesn't want to tell you. Mainstream doesn't want you to know. People like myself and all these other small independent media outlets have been scouring over thousands upon thousands of documents. I have just about hit 2 terabytes of information. What this guy cannot be trusted. Appointed. He's appointed. He's a Trudeau liberal. He will do anything and say anything that his masters want him to. I've proven this, like I said, previous episodes. Let's just listen to more of this. All of this is lies. Now we know it's all lies.
Who's involved? Are these people all here? Are these people on the international scene? So sometimes an investigation can be very complex.
What did I just read off earlier? About the India and how he accused India without any proof of India? Same thing with the Conservatives, blaming the Conservatives for being Indian influenced. Patrick Brown got up and actually testified and said, come on, seriously? Poilievre was kicking butt. There's no way that any bit of interference that was backing me would have at any point in time affected this election. But this is what they push.
Foreign interference is a real threat. We saw this in the final report of the public inquiry into foreign interference. That's why the commissioner of that inquiry made the formal recommendation that all party leaders get briefed on any threats to or within their party.
hoax report.
See? The whole commission was a setup. It was all lies. Every last bit of it. The second that they even came out, and when I was watching it, how she even stated that this is why we need to secure the media. And this is why their excuse of they want to make sure they increase and put into legislation that their propaganda arm can be the main source of information to Canadians to keep lying and brainwashing you. This is just, all of this has just been blown out of the water. Let's just keep on rolling with it. Okay, Mrs. Rosie, best friend of Trudeau, this is what mainstream pushes out there.
Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton is here with more on this. So, Rosie, Canadians may be wondering why this issue just keeps coming up. When we talk about security clearance, can you be precise? What are we talking about?
Now, who keeps bringing up the foreign interference? Think carefully. Propaganda. Propaganda.
Yeah, Adrian, there's different levels of clearance and not everyone has access to them. In fact, most MPs don't have them. Not even all cabinet ministers have them or need top secret or classified security clearance. This would include things like highly sensitive information about national security threats, foreign interference, terrorism from either individuals or state actors. And it could include how the intelligence was gathered from sources working for other countries, maybe trying to influence MPs. The Foreign Interference Inquiry report recommended that all leaders get this top secret clearance because they have unique powers and responsibilities in terms of determining who can be a candidate.
Repeat the same thing over and over and over, and people will start to believe it. This is propaganda. This is Trudeau's little bestie. Same with all of the rest of these MPs that all hung out together that ended up taking over the Liberal Party that made original Liberals flee. These people all need to be exposed. We need a new government. We need to expunge and remove all of those who have been, we'll just say, appointed by Trudeau and his party including the Privy Council, which we know all of them are rats. Every one of them has got a backdoor incentive. They're there not for Canadians. We've seen this. We've seen this year after year after year. Cover up after cover up after cover up. Let's just keep rolling with the propaganda.
All of them did, except Pierre Poilievre, and contrary to the suggestion that his clearance from when he was a cabinet minister in 2015 is still relevant, top secret clearance actually expires after 5 years.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it does. But the fact is he already passed it. So it's not a worry that he's been infiltrated. Not like Trudeau or the 11 MPs that we're still waiting to hear. Who are they? We know Mary Ying's part of that, which again, previous episodes, why did Trudeau purposely take her to the Indo-Asia Pacific trade missions? When we know what China wants, he took her to help China. This isn't to help Canada. We're just the intermediary. We're just being used. We're just being used, people. And the propaganda keeps going.
Political correspondent Vashi Kapelos. Vashi, questions about Pierre Poilievre's refusal to get security clearance have persisted for a while and are now clearly a part of this campaign. What impact could this have on the election?
Well, I think the time when those questions first arose a number of months ago was a very different time in the greater political context. Pierre Poilievre had a lot of political capital to expand because he was 20 to 25 points ahead of the Liberals. The situation is very different now. Plus, there's a lot of policy convergence between the Liberals and the Conservatives, which means greater focus on the leaders themselves. And anytime there is a question of leadership to be debated on the merits of it or not, the fact that that question is being raised potentially has an impact going forward.
And right after those revelations today, the Conservatives brought up the
kicker is listen to how they finish off the interview, right? So now they've re-brought up the political, like you got to get your security clearance, okay? Now listen carefully.
Liberal leaders' connections with China. What was the link they were trying to draw there, and what was the Liberal response?
So here's what the Conservatives say, Omar. They say after being appointed to head Justin Trudeau's task force on economic growth, Mark Carney went to China, met with the deputy head of the People's Bank of China, and then 2 weeks later, Brookfield Asset Management, so he chairs the board of that company at the time, received a $250 million preferential loan from a Chinese state bank. So that's what the Conservatives say. We asked the...
Now, why don't you do your homework, Vashi? Previous episodes, people, please scroll through. You're going to enjoy it. This has already been proven. Why do I have to do their jobs? This is why I created my channel. This is why I do what I do. Because I'm sick and tired of propaganda. Listen to this bullcrap.
Liberals for a response. They said in part in a statement, this is a desperate attempt by Pierre Poilievre to distract from the fact that he refuses to get his security clearance at a time of crisis for Canada. They did not, however, address the substance of exactly what the Conservatives are accusing Carney of. So I anticipate there will be questions on the campaign trail for Mr. Carney on this very thing tomorrow. Omar?
Now, have they been asking questions about it? For all of those that watch the CBC, CTV, and all the rest of this state-funded media, no, they brushed it under the rug. When it's a fact, and once we know it's a fact, shouldn't that disqualify him? Shouldn't that be the main starting point when you start talking about it? If the person has been found guilty of doing it, why even give them the time of day going on with anything else that they're saying? We have Carney busted. Like, I lost track at 113. And the media, nothing, crickets. Or it gets out of control where they know it's that people like me, from you guys sharing, subscribing, and getting it out there, and also spreading news on all these different platforms, they need to do something. How do they react? They then take it, steal the story, bring it up, and then they themselves bury the story and keep pushing Carney. This is all foreign interference. This is all propaganda. This just doesn't end. And they promote this. They just keep promoting it.
Ever bothered to get his security clearance?
Now, he had his security clearance once. He's already got it. What's the big deal? Repeat the same thing over and over and people begin to believe it. This is the distraction. Are you ready? Are you ready? Get the ball. This time the ball is security clearance, so that you're focused on the security clearance, not the actual people like this guy and all the rest of these MPs in the Liberal cabinet who are actually the problem and on China's side.
I've already, during this leadership campaign, filled out my forms. It wasn't that hard to do, I have to say.
Why is it that you can make time to fill out your security clearance papers, but won't proactively disclose your corporate interests?
Because I received those security papers as part of this process for the leadership debate. The real question is, why can I fill out my security papers in the course of 2 weeks, arrange for an interview, have the police background check, be in a position to get my security clearance, and Pierre Poilievre, after 3 years, can't do any of those things, at a time when we know there's foreign interference in our democracy and our country is under threat. And I'll say one other thing.
See what he did? CBC threw the ball. He took it, scratched his name off of it, put foreign interference on it. Ready? Fetch the ball. And guess what? CBC quit asking the question. They knew the information was there. All the proof is still coming out. No more story. Now they can say, well, we did talk about this story. No, you didn't. Because if you did, you would keep questioning on it and you would keep showing more and more evidence on it, which they're not doing. This is all propaganda. People, Canada is broken. We need to completely decimate this party. We need to bring in another party, hopefully Pierre Poilievre, and we need to start exposing all of this corruption. It is in every single level. Like I've said on previous episodes, and please, I can't ask you enough, go through and check out my previous episodes. It's all there. The evidence is there. CBC just keeps on hiding it. That's their job. That's their job. Propaganda arm. Well, there you have it. I can go on and on and on showing you clips, especially Rosie and all the rest of these. They're all liberals. They're all on the inside. They'll do anything to protect the party. Now we know CSIS is involved, which I've proven. And like I said, I haven't necessarily proven. I have had my instincts and my nose kept going there. Look at the 3-part series I did on the China Palestini movement infiltration into the Liberal Party. This dates all the way back to Pierre Senior Trudeau. This is huge. This has been going on for a long time. We need to get this out there. Like I said, all the document is posted below. Feel free to read it. You'll see a whole pile of different links and stuff in there. A lot of that evidence I have already exposed in previous episodes. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We need to get the word out. Support your local independent media. Maybe, just maybe, because Trump just announced that he's not going to give another cent to any media outlets. This is what has to be done in Canada. It's self-worth and your contributors and fans that should allow media to grow. It's got to be done by the people, for the people. It can't be done by the government. I'm glad this finally got out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Alias Tagay. You've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. Stay informed.